The only thing that can get crazier in this episode, Brennan, is if we decide to go completely batshit and rank every single NFC quarterback. Would you like to do that, or would you like to save your sanity?
Let's do it. I got no sanity to save.
Okay, so we're going to do this a little bit more impromptu because I don't have the list currently in front of
I
me.
got my list.
You have your list?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're going to take the segment then.
All right, let's do it. So, might be a disagreement, but I don't think so because we did say you did agree that when healthy, you would take him top. So, my top is Matthew Stafford at number one.
I
Could
would have
take
Jalen
Jalen Hurts.
Hurts.
You could. You would take
Just
Jalen?
because Hurts is a higher floor raiser to me at this point. I don't think with his rushing ability, but now he's a high level top 10, top maybe right outside the top 10, but he's on that tier. I think he's too versatile, and you can make a case he's a top 7 quarterback in the league. With Stafford at his peak, I think he's a little bit below him. So I'll go Hurts, especially given the injury concerns.
That's a disagreement we have. I believe when Stafford was a peak, he was a top 5 quarterback. But all right, me for Stafford, you go Jalen. My number 2 is Dak Prescott.
Over Hurts?
Yeah, over Hurts. Hurts is my number 3.
What's your reasoning behind that?
Hurts, I need to see it again.
He's already went further than Dak ever has in the playoffs.
He was surrounded by a much better team than Dak has ever had.
Yes, in terms of the weapons, but Dak's offensive line is at the same exact year. I think it's
the line fine. Yeah, the line fine, but weapons were a major part, and defense. The Eagles' defense was much more consistently built throughout. While you had Micah, who was the best defender on the both sides of the defense,
right, best player.
We know that the Eagles had a more consistently built defense, in my opinion. And Nick Sirianni is a better head coach than Mike McCarthy.
I don't want to overlook the fact Dak last year in 2021 had Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, Tony Pollard, and Ezekiel Elliott with a good offensive line too.
Zeke, but we know Zeke has fallen off.
Well, yeah, I'm saying a year ago before.
Zeke hasn't been the same in like 3 or 4 years, man. Zeke is
yes.
Even if he did have 1,000 yards, it didn't look the same. We come on, we all know we were looking at Zeke and being like, it's done for. But neither here nor there. So I guess honestly, those are the top 3 in my opinion. Either way you want to put them, Jalen, Stafford, Dak. I think that's the top 3, except for maybe your guy, Kirk.
No, Kirk's not in my top 3, but so your top 3, it's not. I think the names are all right, but I think Kyler Murray is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott, and he's getting really overhated. And I don't know why everyone hates Kyler Murray. Is it because he's short? Is it because of the leadership concerns? And if it is, sure. But when you look at Dak Prescott's playoff resume, I'm like, well, it's not glowing so much to where I'd rather have him. If I'm building a team right now, contracts aside, I would rather Kyler Murray under center because I think he's the more explosive player. I think he's more dynamic passer down the field, where Dak is more of an intermediate guy, and he's not that deep level shot maker Kyler's shown to be through 4 years.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly, and I think to just slide leadership under the rug is a major concern for me if you do that. That's why I would not do that, and that's a main reason why I would not take Kyler. Kyler right now is number 6 for me.
But he's also, when you're comparing him to Dak, a turnover-free quarterback. Before his injury this year, we saw that too. And I feel like if you're going to use Dak's poor coaching as a reason for him being higher than Hurts, well, Kyler Murray overcame Cliff Kingsbury as his coach, who didn't have an offense designed around Kyler's biggest strengths necessarily. And you got to keep in mind too, the Cardinals have not drafted well in recent years. And a year ago in 2021, they still started off undefeated. They had the best record in the NFL, ended up with 11 wins. They may have lost the Rams, but that team went on to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I wouldn't bring up coaching when I'm talking Dak and Kyler because I think I can just keep it between the 2 players. I bring it up with Jalen because it's a much bigger gap in my opinion. But for me, it's just the leadership of Kyler. You bring up turnover free, I guess, but Kyler breaks down. We've seen it consistently in the NFL towards the end of the season. He breaks down and he doesn't perform as well as he was in the beginning of the seasons. I'm not a big believer in Kyler. I see the talent. I understand the talent. The talent is there, but you also have to put it all together. And I don't think he's put it all together very well. And I think his leadership skills do lack very much, especially compared to Dak, who I think is a very good leader in my opinion.
Right, but Dak still has some injuries too, man. We saw that this last year.
Yeah, 100%. He's dealt with some injuries, but I think he's still been more successful either way. You might say his playoff resume is not good. He's had I have to go back and look at it, but I'm pretty sure he's had more good games than he's had bad games in his playoffs. If not just as even. Kyler's been there once.
I also think Kyler doesn't get enough credit, maybe because Joe Burrow has wiped him out as back-to-back first-round picks. Kyler is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league too, and that's Dak's biggest strength as a pocket passer, like his ability to be surgical from the pocket. Kyler Murray too. Well, he's less of a pocket passer, much less than Dak. I think the reason I think Kyler's a better player is because of his ability to improvise and extend. Whereas Prescott is best within the pocket. And I think there's a limitation to that if you're not Brady or Burrow. Like those guys are just different levels of processors where they're so quick and they're so decisive and they have that X factor that I think Dak lacks. He's a better leader, but I think Dak tenses up in the biggest moments and he starts to, the word is press. He starts to press up and then you see the mistakes. Whereas with those elite pocket passers that are Burrow and Brady, you don't see that.
I would bring to you, well, first off, you're comparing them against Burrow and Brady. That's very kind of you. But I would bring to you that Kyler hasn't been in those moments, and so you haven't seen how he performs in those moments. So you don't know if we hope we will see. The Cardinals have to get it together, and he has to get healthy, but we haven't seen him yet in those moments. So we don't know if he's going to tense up like Dak did, or he's going to ball out. Like, because Dak did, even in his rookie year, performed at a very high level. He's had some down years since, but he still had some great games in the playoffs. But I take Dak.
A good game.
So for me, number 4 is Derek Carr. I think honestly, 4, 5, and 6, which is Carr. Honestly, 4 to 7 for me is kind of like mix and match right now. Carr, Cousins, Murray, and Goff are kind of like in that tier for me, to be honest with you. Similar tier. That's my 4 to 7. Carr, Cousins, Murray, Goff.
I'm just noting this all down. Would you be able to go through 1 through 7 so I can put this in my notes too?
Yeah. Stafford, Prescott, Hurts, Carr, Cousins, Murray, Goff.
Murray, and then Goff at 7. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think if we're doing this a year ago, Derek Carr coming off that Raiders season would have been the best. I feel like Kirk Cousins, his accuracy and the decision-making department for Derek Carr is also very inconsistent.
Yeah, they're both suspect, yes.
I think Kirk, though, might be a better decision-maker. I think in terms of the turnovers, the issue that I've had with Derek Carr, especially over the last year, is while he's not the most accurate, he's not the most athletic, he can press up in those big moments. I think to the Steelers game on Christmas Eve where he had 3 picks and like 120 yards, we gave Derek Carr Devontae Adams. And while Devontae had a great season, the Raiders offense had Josh Jacobs break out, and they're still struggling to put points on the board because he wasn't that decisive. He struggled in the red zone, and he was really inconsistent.
Yeah.
So I think coming off of not just last year, but the last 4 or 5 years, I would have to have Kirk Cousins and definitely Kyler. Kyler would be like a tier above that, Derek Carr. I would also have Kirk and Jared Goff ahead of Derek Carr.
That's fair.
And when we get to number 7, maybe this is a blazing hot take, but I am so high on Geno Smith, I would have him above Derek Carr. Not because of the resume, but because I think Geno Smith is more capable than Carr. He's a better athlete. He's got a better arm. He's more accurate down the field. And the only reason you wouldn't have Geno Smith above Derek Carr was because he was a backup for 6 years for 3 different teams. But we saw him in 2021 step up when Russell Wilson missed 3 games against pretty tough defenses. He came into Heinz Field and he put them in position to beat that Steelers defense that was one of the better units in the league. I think Geno Smith has shown us for a year and a half now. No, I'm a top 15, top 12 quarterback. It's only a matter of time until you guys understand that. And hell, if people continue to disrespect him, I think he's going to force them to respect him. Geno, for me, would be number 7 right after Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, that's fair. You're 4 through 7. Like I said, they're kind of mix and match. The only reason why I put Carr ahead of those guys is leadership. I've heard a lot of his teammates just speak about his character and his leadership skills. Like they they really wanted to follow him into battle. So that's why I bring it. The talent wise thing, yeah, he's got his struggles just like all those other guys do with the decision making and whatnot. But yeah, that's the reason why I put him up there. In terms of Geno, I have Geno ninth. I feel like you might be able to guess, so I have it the 8th spot. He's kind of my guy, taking over a new role. Baker Mayfield is my 8th quarterback in the NFC.
You see the video?
Don't worry about the video. All right, listen.
Can we tell
People act like
right
NFL
passes
quarterbacks
with
haven't
you?
missed open throws before. All right,
Sure.
like he missed a throw.
It's just a little bit comical after the last 2 years he's had.
He had some freaking great moments though, and when he was on the Rams, dude, he had some great comebacks that were historically great. That's all I'm saying. I don't like
Yes.
I said, I wasn't a big fan of the move to go to the Bucks. I really wish he would have went to Washington or some other teams. That Miami was my number 1 spot. I wasn't a big fan of it, but I'm getting behind Baker because I still do believe in Baker. And yeah, I think him and Mike Evans can get some chemistry down. I think Chris Godwin coming off a year off his injury is going to be better this year than he was last year. Obviously, the O-line has its struggles. They got rid of Donovan Smith, who was insanely bad last year at left tackle. They still got Tristan Wirfs. I think that, listen, they're saying like, oh, there's a quarterback competition. I swear to God, Todd Bowles, if you actually have a competition with Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield, you deserve to be fired. You deserve to be fired. No, you deserve to be fired. That is disrespectful.
Yes. I think he has a better chance of keeping the job if he starts Trask, because now he has an excuse. He's developing a young quarterback, and you have to wait. Soon it's going to come. Whereas if Baker struggles, it's all going to be – the house is going to completely collapse on Todd Bowles' head.
Maybe Bruce Arians saves his job because I know Bruce loves Todd Bowles, and he's still in the front office. But yeah, I had Baker 8, Geno 9th, 10th I have Brock Purdy.
Okay. So I'm just processing this.
You don't like Brock? Not a big Brock guy. You were a big Brock guy when he was balling. You compared him to Tom Brady. Disrespectful.
I have Bryce Young right after Geno Smith for me. I'm just currently listing the quarterbacks. Like I said before,
dude, I'm shocked.
Why don't you give me your 1 through 16, and then while you're doing that, I'm going to kind of put together my 8 through 12.
All right, so 1, Matthew Stafford, 2, Dak Prescott, 3, Jalen Hurts, 4, Derek Carr, 5, Kirk Cousins, 6, Kyler Murray, 7, Jared Goff, 8, Baker Mayfield, 9, Geno Smith, 10, Brock Purdy, 10, Daniel Jones. Shout out
11, Daniel Jones.
Yeah. 12, Justin Fields, 13, Jordan Love, 14, Desmond Ritter, 15, Bryce Petty, Young. I wrote Bryce Petty again. Jeez, I can't win with this kid.
You're getting there.
I can't win.
One step closer.
And 16, Sam Howell.
Okay. I see what you're doing where you kind of, since we haven't seen Sam Howell as of 1.5 games.
Yes.
And Bryce Young yet.
We haven't seen, yes.
Default. I also think Bryce Young this year's going to have one of the best rookie seasons we've seen from a quarterback.
If he does, then he'll jump some guys. Yeah.
Yes. And so that's why for me on my list.
You do more off of potential and projection that you're believing this is going to happen. I go off of I need to see it, and then I will change my list.
Hell yeah, I'm a walking projector, man. My vantage point is the Panthers are going to stem up to succeed with the coaching, the running game, and the offensive line. And I'm also pretty confident they're signing D-Hop, which is it's pending. But here's my last thought. I think Bryce Young, while people are skeptical of him, it is merely because of his height. His processing ability out of structure, his accuracy is surgical. He's got the arm talent at 195 pounds. Much like Kyler Murray, I think we really discredit his skill set, and we can only look at the height. But at Alabama, that didn't stop him. And the most important thing to take away is that Bryce Young, to me, wasn't a regular Alabama quarterback. After Jamison Williams and John Metchie were drafted, they did not have NFL talent receiver this last year, and he was still at the top of the Heisman race. And it was really only the injuries that he didn't have that more emphatic ending, I think, to his college career. But no, he has an X factor, and I think that separates him from the likes of Derek Carr. And so when I'm really taking a deeper dive into this, I would have him right after Geno, but I think he can, within his rookie year, surpass Smith.
What I would bring to you is it fair? You agree it's fair though to have those rightful concerns about his size and height, right? Like that's a fair concern to have, not a critique, a concern to have in his ability going forward. Like
From a skill set perspective, no.
not skill. No, I'm not bringing up skill. I'm talking size and height. You would say that is a fair concern to have.
From a durability perspective, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But you're a Baker fan. Baker's probably got 15 pounds in him, roughly. I think with Baker, that's led to injuries, but that doesn't stop people that are Baker believers because of his skill set.
But only one injury kept him out for didn't even keep him out. He played through it, but should have kept him out, which was the separated shoulder and the torn labrum, and that happened.
And the cracked ribs.
That happened off of him throwing an interception, tracking down the guy, and tackling him. Like that was obviously not what a quarterback's supposed to do. But Baker's built different in the head, so he's going to go do it. But what I'm just bringing to you that in terms of durability, his size, his height is a concern for people, and I do have a concern. You bring up Baker. Baker is much bigger than Bryce Young. Did you see the picture of Bryce Young with behind his offensive line?
Yeah, he's 5'11", 190 pounds.
I don't even know if he's 5'11". I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah, maybe he's 5'10". Baker is 6 foot, maybe 6'1" with cleats on, 215 pounds. So he's got 20 pounds and an inch and a half on Bryce.
I would say Baker's probably a little bit thicker than that, maybe 220.
Yeah, he probably is.
He looks like he puts on but that's what I'm saying. I just think the size and the height is a fair concern for Bryce Young. That's my only concern. Listen, the talent could be there. I need to see it on the NFL field, obviously, because college is a completely different game. And I think you can also agree that while it wasn't a concern, his size and height in college, these are grown men you're playing against. Like that's different. I feel like that you can agree with as well, is that's a fair concern to have. Along with the size and height, you're going up against grown men who are much better than your college people playing in college, and much bigger, stronger, faster, aggressive, playing for money because they have to provide food and stuff on their family's plate. It's just a different game entirety. So you have the belief, and I agree with you, but it's fair concern on the size and height for Bryce Young.
Here's a fun fact.
I like fun facts.
In Drew Brees' first 13 years with the New Orleans Saints from 2006 to 2018, he played 16 games in all but 2 seasons. No, I'm wrong. He played 16 games in all but 3 seasons. 2015, 2009, and I'm sorry, his Football Reference page is littered with so many 16-game seasons, it's clouding my perception. Yeah, in only 2 years. Oh, and then in 2018, he played in 15 games. So in his first 13 years with the Saints, only missed 3 games. And he was a 6-foot quarterback.
Okay, so you're
I look at Bryce Young, and I have hope he can stay healthy because however Drew Brees did it with his training, he showed it's possible for a 6-foot quarterback to stay healthy and have a long NFL career. That's the prime example.
It is, but he's not 6 foot. He's also smaller than Drew Brees.
Drew Brees was maybe 6 foot.
Drew Brees was 6 feet tall, in my opinion.
Okay.
I just would listen. And Drew Brees listen, I agree with you. He did get injured early in his career in San Diego. That's what got him erased from San Diego, is that terrible injury he had. And he was able to sit. Drew Brees is an okay comparison, but Drew Brees is the most accurate quarterback ever to live. Stats don't lie. So
coaching helps with that. Sean Payton.
100% coach helps with that. I don't think Frank Reich is Sean Payton.
Damn good coach.
Frank Reich is Sean Payton.
I agree.
And he 100%. Also had a much better proven guy. Like I don't know these guys by name. The Panthers offensive line. But there were, Carl Nix, Teron Armstead, obviously towards the end.
Saints had a lot of good offensive line.
Jarheim Evans. The Saints were able to draft. They were able to draft all pro players at the offensive line for a long time.
But the Panthers are drafting offensive linemen too. Ike Mekwonu last year of NC State. And then you've got Taylor Moton, who's one of the best right tackles in the league. You've got Brady Christensen at left guard, Bradley Bozeman at center. and Austin Corbett at right
You
guard.
got young guy, you got
Good
some
offensive
young
line.
guys, but and that's what I'm saying. The Saints guys are more established, and I remember their names off the top of my head. But like the Panthers guy, it's got to and sustainable too. Like once those early guys, Evans and Nicks retired, and I'm missing the left tackle and other guys that they had. Ben
There's a lot.
Grubbs, I think no, that was the Ravens. He might have played on the Saints too though. But they were able to replace with like Teron Armstead and other guys like that. So it is also consistency. But let's not get. But what about so? Did you work on your 10 through?
Number 1 for me, Jalen Hurts. Number 2, Kyler Murray. I'm higher than the BC, admittedly. Number 3, Matthew Stafford. Number 4, Dak Prescott. Number 5, Jared Goff. Number 6, Kirk Cousins. Number 7, Geno Smith. Number 8, Derek Carr. Number 9, Bryce Young. Number 10, Justin Fields. Number 11, Daniel Jones. Number 12, Brock Purdy. Number 13, Jordan Love. Number 14, Baker Mayfield. Number 15, Sam Howell. Number 16, Desmond Ridder.